There you go, Kratzy. Powered by Tisa. Ben Ruta actually works for the company, as you can see. Former minor leaguer who not only played in the Yanks minor league system, but Ben, we'll get into it on your time with the Padres in their minor league system as well. Dude, how you doing? And first off, thanks for being a part of the chat yesterday on YouTube and enlightening the world on some things that are worth bringing out in terms of player development.
Absolutely. Did something happen yesterday? Did anything catch on? I don't know,
Yeah.
man. That thing got some legs on it.
Hell yeah, it did. Millions of views, articles left and right. So let's start with what you saw yesterday, which was just our obit on the Yanks, which we're doing for most teams once we feel like they're kind of done for the year. And it got into a player development situation and conversation that also spills into the major league club and what you experienced as a minor leaguer that you thought was not working well. Obviously, we can point to some good things too. We're not just here to bash, but also like, what did you first notice there that you felt like was not right?
Well, first I'll say I did listen to Lance's, and I appreciated him coming on. He had some good insight. And I did hear from, I mean, the list is growing every hour, every couple minutes, but over 30 guys, including current major league coaches, players, strength coaches, all guys, some with Yankee ties, some without, all just saying, man, it's about time we talked about this, just happy. So you guys take that for what it's worth. I got guys telling me, say it all, say everything that, we went through. But I will say I'm not anti-analytics at all. I'm just like how you guys were talking to Lance, saying, listen, we're not anti-analytics, but there's also a human element to this. But yeah, I mean, the first thing I feel like I should highlight with the Yankees is just the type of analytics that they look at. And the big one, which Kratz might know, because he did have some experience. We kind of crossed paths a little bit. He was more in AAA big leagues when I was in AA. But I mean, it's hit effects OPS. I mean, that's like was their gold standard when I was there. And all that is, it honestly sounds really good on paper because all it does, it takes away luck. At least that's what they say. So it's, it takes your exit velocity, it takes your launch angles, and it gives you a projected OPS on that hit. So if you line out, instead of getting an offer, you get, whatever that OPS is. If you get a lucky hit, it gets deducted. So, and walks are obviously good. The problem I have with this metric is strikeouts do not dock you. And you see that because they use this in the minors and they use this to make free agent decisions. So they're signing guys and they're making trades based off this. And that's why you get a lot of high strikeout guys in the majors, which I will say we're doing this conversation majors versus minors. But I mean, it is very split up. Like all of this talk doesn't necessarily have to do with the team that is out there right now, besides a few free agent signings that we could get into. But I think I'd like to get Kratz and AJ's kind of opinion on this. I think that's their main problem is just getting too many of the same guys and trying to make everyone, which is what you touched on before, everyone the same player.
Yeah, no, I mean I think that's where our hang up is. And my side of it is I'm with you. And AJ, I think, is on the same page. Like, we both love analytics because we came from a catching background where we're evaluating guys all the time, whether we're trying to or not. We're profiling this person as a player. We're profiling this hitter and how we're going to attack them, how we're going to win the game. And to me, my side of it is, how is the communication of it when it's given to you as a minor leaguer? How is the communication of it delivered so that Ben Ruta can make the big leagues? And how did that change from when you got drafted in 16 to when things started to change over in 18?
Listen, when I got drafted, I'll tell you about my first day in the facility. I signed my contract. I was a 30th round pick, signed for a fat 10 G's, pretty proud of that. I go on the field. I don't even think half the people even knew I got drafted. I'm a 30th round pick and I'm in my polo. I just signed my contract. I'm all excited. I'm watching a backfields game And I sit next to this guy, Jody Reed, who, if you look him up, he's about 5'6". I think he led the American League in doubles a few years with the Red Sox. Hilarious guy, great baseball mind. I just happened to sit next to him on those steel benches, and he's like, "This your first day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, obviously I'm in a polo, you know." And I sat with him for 2 hours. Every single thing that happened in that game, he critiqued and just told me about it. Baseball, baseball, baseball. Guys taking bad routes in the outfield. He's timing guys home to first, and he's saying, "Listen, this guy just ran a 4.6, but he averages around a 4.4. Like that's bad effort." And all he told me was, "This is day one. I haven't even put on a uniform yet. If you give good effort and you play the game the right way, you will at least make it to a point where you got a chance to make the big leagues." And I took that to heart. And I feel like that sort of thing was gone immediately when all those guys were out of there.
Okay, Ben. So what was the stat you mentioned? X. I agree with what Jody Reed said. There is a point where effort and playing the game right can help you along the way. But what was the stat you said? X. X.
Hit FX OPS. So you have your real OPS and then you have your hit FX OPS. I know this stat well because 2018 I got called up to Double A and I was leading the team in hitting after 200 at bats, stolen bases and runs, and I got sent down because I wasn't supposed to be in Double A. I skipped High A. I got sent down. People got sent down, and I was just a guy. So I asked them. I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, your hit effects OPS is way lower than your real OPS, so you're getting lucky." And that was the reason I got, and that was kind of the first analytic that that's when it kind of changed for me. And I was like, all right, well, this is the number. And that's why I say you can't blame players for, being strikeout guys or worrying about exit velo, because if that's how you're evaluating, that's exactly, if you're a smart player, you're going to do what's going to get you to the big leagues. You're not the one choosing. So you have to kind of form to that mold.
Okay, so who chooses if it's lucky hit or not? The coach?
No,
I mean,
it's the computer. So if you
so like
bloop
you
a
said,
ball, yeah, if you bloop a ball at whatever 30 degrees over third base and you get a double, that ain't counting as a double. That's bad.
you would
If you
think the
get a
Yankees.
what'd you say?
You would think that's good. You know why? Ask the Yankees about 2001, Luis Gonzalez, when he blooped one over Derek Jeter's head to win a World Series. Like, I mean, there's
Yeah, I
to me,
agree. I agree.
that's where the analytics argument loses a lot of people that played before analytics, because like you're saying, like, okay, great, you made an out, but you hit it 95 miles an hour plus. Well, it's still an out, right? Or strikeouts don't count. Yes,
Yeah,
strikeouts count. If there's a runner on third and less than 2 outs, you don't drive them in. So there's different values. I think you can't just have one stat. And this is what we got into earlier: is you can't just have one stat that defines everybody, because everyone's a different hitter. And I think that's kind of what you're saying, and that's what we were talking about before. Is not every guy is physically the same, mentally the same, strength wise the same, hits left, hits right. There are different factors that are involved, and I think that's where what you're saying is what I agree with as a former player. Is there's different values, and you need to be able to adjust per player, not just have the cookie cutter approach.
yeah. And the way I would implement it, because I don't think hit effects OPS is necessarily a bad stat. I just don't think it should be the end all be all. Because you could use it in positive ways. You get a guy that's struggling, and what people don't the numbers guys don't understand is how much confidence really helps you, like just day to day, because you're failing a lot, and you could give guys confidence with that. They look up at the board and they're hitting 210. You say, well, your hit effects OPS is actually this. You're getting a little unlucky. Keep at it. That's a positive way to use that analytic, in my opinion. But when you are a prospect and you're trying to make your goal is to make the big leagues, and you have a guy on second base, you have to ask yourself, with one out or no outs in Double A, you have to ask yourself as a prospect, why should I roll this ball over at 72 miles an hour to second base and get this guy to third so we could score a run in a Double A game that no one cares about? Why should I do that? That is not going to get me to the big leagues. But when you're in the big leagues, that's going to win games. That is good. That is considered a quality at bat. And I think that's the disconnect, because when I started with the Yankees, it was the only thing they tracked was quality at bats. Quality at bat could be a lot of things. It could be you get out and you were 0-2 and you have a 10 pitch at bat. That's a quality at bat, even if you flew out to center field lazily. You could have a blue pit. You could smash a ball. Like there's lots of different quality at bats. Get a guy over. Lots of different ways. I think what I would do if I put my player development hat on and I was running a system, I would have all the analytics. I would have it. I would let guys know which are the important ones, and I would also track quality at bats and put an importance on it. Though, say, hey, I want you to try to drive this ball to right field because there's a guy on second base. But if you get the 2 strikes, I want you to get the job done first. The job, obviously, I'd rather have you get a hit, but if you roll over, that is great. And we value that because if you don't value something, the players are not going to do it. Like, why would you do it if it's not going to, who cares? Like, hey, we won a double A game. I'm getting released in 2 years because I wasted 10 at bats, 15, 20 at bats in the season trying to get a guy to third base. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion.
Why do you feel like you improved when analytics came in? Do you feel like it was a coincidence? Do you feel like there was a swing change yourself? Was it a coach?
No, I mean, 2018 was my best year. I believe, it started changing in the middle of 2018, but nothing on the training side had changed yet. We still had all the same coaches. You understand, the Yankees had experience-wise, the best coaching staff in
Yep.
the major leagues when I started, just in terms of experience. So there was over 30 coaches with major league experience. You go to another organization, you are not getting those sort of numbers. So that means any level, rookie ball, A plus, double A, triple A, you're getting multiple guys in your coaching staff with major league playing experience. I really think that's invaluable. It started switching 2018, 2019, half of them were gone. And then 2020, they're all gone besides maybe like four guys. But I mean, at that point, 2018 had a great year. Nothing was being taught yet because they just got there. 2019, it gets implemented, but we're at the point where like we're older. We have some stats behind us where we kind of can push back a little bit, whereas the new guys are they're that's it. When teams put your career against you like that, like I think a lot of teams do that where it's like, listen, they know it's your dream to make the big league, so you kind of don't have any leverage. So like we used what leverage we had, but I mean, honestly, we pushed back pretty hard against like the no tees and all that stuff.
How did that go when you pushed back? Like, what did you guys say, and did they go back against you?
Oh well, I mean, 2019 we won the Double A title. We had a great team. Man, it was right before the trade deadline. Head of player development comes into town because none of us are doing any of the stuff. I won't say names, but you can look up who it is. And we're like 40 minutes before the game. We have this meeting. We're like, what the hell is this meeting about? We're about to play a game. We were in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And we just get reamed out, like reamed out. You guys think you're so good. You can't do this. You can't do that. We're about to have the trade deadline now. No one's calling for anyone on this team. Meanwhile, and then he starts calling out guys. We had one guy having just an awful year. Previous year, minor league player of the year. So he's just going through it. Like you don't. He knows he's sucking, and he goes, "Hey, how are you hitting the curveball this year?" The guy's not hitting fastball, curveball, anything this year. He's hitting like 170. And he's like, well, not very good. And he goes in front of all of us and he's like, how about shitty? And we're like, oh my God. Calls out, I can say this guy's name because he plays in Japan now, Chris Gittins, Eastern League MVP that year.
Smashed.
Kratz plays him. Guy is the most pop, I think, some of the most pop I've ever seen. Calls him out. He's like, how are you hitting against 95 plus? And Chris is like, I don't know. He's hitting like 290 with 25 homers. Like, what do you? Like, we're just getting reamed out for all this stuff. So I mean, that I think put us all over the edge, and I didn't appreciate that at all, to be honest. and I know a lot of the coaches didn't either because our manager left that year. That off season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Why? I don't understand why no tees though. Why? Like, what's the thing? What does no tees have to do with? Like, I know you said that yesterday, and I've heard that from other places where they always want the ball moving when you hit it. But
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
If you're trying to make a swing adjustment, the ball is sitting there, you know where it is, and you're trying to slow down and make whatever you need to move your hands up or your hands down or hands in or out. And there's not a ball. It seems like the easiest way to make a swing adjustment, or if they want to implement the light bats or the heavy bats or whatever every team does now with you would think a tee would be the perfect tool in order to help with that development at least.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Lance kind of talked about the disconnect between minors and major leagues, and because at this point in spring trainings, I'm going to the major league games. I'm the backup guy. I'm getting my 1 or 2 ABs in the 6th and 7th, coming in for the big leaguers. So those were great days for me because I'm going over to the big league side. It's split up in Florida, and I go from one thing and it's no tees. They're all hidden to I go over there and every single guy is using the tee. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like visually, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm trying to get here. Everyone's using the tee. I'm over on the minor league side. There's no tees. I'm like, what is the big deal about the tee? I don't have an answer for you. I really don't.
Wow. So, okay, give me the comparison then, because eventually you move on to the Padres organization and you spent some time there. So, was it vastly different?
Yeah, the Padres definitely different. It's kind of the Wild West out there. I don't have anything bad to say about them. They just were kind of getting their analytical department going. They were more kind of, I would say they're probably on the bottom of the league in terms of that. I enjoyed my time there. To be honest, I just didn't play well. I had a great opportunity there. I killed in spring training, was in AAA, and baseball's hard. That's the thing that people understand. But the only way I can connect this conversation, because it sounds like we're all coming at the analytical guys, right? But they have a place in this game. Baseball will never be analytical free ever. Like the analytics will be in baseball for the rest of time. It's more about how do we mesh these two things together. And the first thing I thought of, you cannot teach anybody baseball experience. You have to experience it to get that knowledge that Kratz, you have playing 11 years. AJ, you have all this experience. You can't teach that. You have to experience it. You can teach analytics. So why are we not just using our baseball guys and teaching them the few analytics that you want them to focus on, and they can present that to players in a way that is baseball oriented, and it also highlights that, hey, this analytic is very important, or you could do this a little better. You should focus on this. Like, why can't we teach? We can teach one thing out of two. So why are we not teaching the baseball guys?
Do you feel like, so I'm going to surmise and just summarize what you're saying is the communication from somebody actually implementing what they want to implement is getting lost, or is it not being, or are they not trying to communicate it?
I'll tell you this is the number one advice I could give to people like Lance that are in MLB organizations. And it was when he said it, I was like, man, I am so glad he said this. When he was talking about treating the system like a portfolio, and hey, we got to have the best chances. We need the best chances to produce the best big leaguers. When it's fine. Baseball is 100% a business, and that is completely true. We are, as players, we are all investments. We are technically stocks. Some are blue chips, whatever. Some have more money invested in them. But when the players know that that's happening, that's when you lose them, and that's how it was with the Yankees. Because as soon as listen, you guys have your whole portfolio. I got my portfolio. It's right here. One guy got my career. Dude, the minor leagues are a very selfish game. Your competitors are your own teammates in a sense. And I got to worry about this guy first because I got one career. I don't give a shit about your portfolio. I really don't. And if I think that's all you care about and you're just trying to get the best chances and you're building all one thing because that's what you guys want, you think I'm going to listen to what you say? Like, no, I'm going to look out for myself first. I mean, baseball's got a time limit on it. I can only play so long, when you're young. Like, I have one shot at this. I'm not letting someone that doesn't care about me tell me that I can't do something when it's my career. And I think if they could just connect with the players more, and I think if they connect with some baseball guys that are coaches, they can help them all mesh together. And then you got something going. And I think that's what the good teams do. And, it doesn't come off as forced and it doesn't come off as taking, hey, we're going to build everyone into one strength. And that would be my advice, man. Connect with the players first. You have to earn our respect because we put in the hard work. Not saying they didn't put in hard work to get where they are, but we put in the hard work baseball wise. And we know we didn't get that far without knowing a little bit of what we're doing. So, I mean, that would be my advice.
Here's my thing, Ben. It's your career. At the end of the day, especially in the minor leagues, it's my career. Like they can tell me whatever they want to tell me, but as an organization, you have to make my skill set better because we're not all the same skill set.
Yep.
So if you were, now I was a catcher, right? So you have to make me the best catcher that I can be to be ready for the major leagues, and then you also have to figure out a way to make me, because what you said, and I think Kratz will back me on this. It's hard to be good teammates in the minor leagues because you're all fighting for the same thing, which gets narrower and narrower as you go up, right?
Yep.
So how, as an organization, do you make guys have one singular focus, which isn't just, it is making the minor leagues, but it's also getting ready for the minor leagues or major leagues, excuse me, and it's also teaching them how to win, because ultimately at the big league level, it's about winning and losing. If you win, if your team wins the World Series and you have a horseshit year, nobody remembers, right? But
Yep.
if your team finishes last and you have a horseshit year, people are like, well, this guy sucked, he's out. But if you have a horrible team year and you have a great year, people are like, he had a good year, but didn't really matter because they finished in last place. So I think they're trying teams now to go back a little bit to that, incorporating the analytics, but also saying we have a philosophy of we're going to get guys prepared through analytics to help us at the major league level. And I think that's kind of what you're saying the Yankees were missing. And as a former player, I think most teams now have gone so heavy analytics, they forget the human element. And the way you said
Yep.
it was perfect.
Yeah. And like I said, the best idea that I have if I was running a player development system, I would value quality at bats and I'd value analytics, and I would make it known that, hey, we value these things. I value when you take an 0-2 count to 3-2 and make the guy throw 11 pitches. I don't care that you got out. And I would make it so known that it makes people want to do these things, makes them want. I'm with you. People think, oh, we want people to sacrifice bunt with a guy on first. No, we don't want that. Like, we do not want that. We just want a little mixture of things we know that are going to help guys and things that, listen, personally, I've been through, and I know how it felt. Like, you feel lonely in there because you don't want to give up on your career that you worked hard on, and you don't want to say the wrong things. Like, you're kind of backed up against the wall if you don't agree with something. It's very risky to come out and be like, hey, I don't agree with your training, which I can get into the trainings that they did, and that does work for some people. And I could say why I disagree with it and why I think some drills are good, some are bad. I mean, that's a whole different topic. But I mean, the other thing I will say is like it does sound like we're anti-analytics, whatever, anti-Lawson, but I say I'm not. I mean, Lawson did exactly what he got hired for. He got hired on his training and his stuff, and he went in and he did it, and he hired the guys that teach the same thing. So, like, it's not his fault for teaching it. I would more put the blame on going all in and letting that happen the way it did, which I don't even think he got the fairest shot because he he never got, I mean, it is some on him, but he never got the chance to like connect with the players because it was so like in your face 180 that everyone kind of just like, screw this. I'm not listening, you know? And it was very, very, there was so much tension in there. Like, there should never be tension in the cage. It's a fun place. It's where you're doing your work. And there, 2020 spring training, there's tension. I got messages yesterday like, hey, after you left for the Padres, it only got worse. So I don't know. That's just what I got.
No, that's good. I mean, the one thing I brought up from the outside is, and then getting some insight from others, it's like Brian Sabian and some of these other guys that are coming back into the organization. I imagine that they're trying to maybe tip the scale a little more back to having the balance that I feel like teams like the Braves have, who are one of the model examples right now.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it's clear they hired Sean Casey. Like, they're going back somewhere in the middle. They're never, like we said, they're never going to go back all the way. And there's guys I know, like some of these coaches, that I think could have futures with the Yankees, like their current hitting coordinator, Joe Migliaccio. Like this, he could connect with guys if he did it the right way. I think he's got a good mind. He he is a hard worker. Casey Dykes, who's in the major leagues, he came on at the same time. Like, I think these guys can have a future with the Yankees if they just go about it, the right way. And I think the Yankees should think about, doing this little mixture and having everyone on the same page, and not making it kind of how it was before. But I mean, it's not a knock on those guys. They're teaching what they believe in, which I appreciate, having passion in something. But you also have to have a respect for the player and how they got there and that it's their career. So, it's one thing to say, hey, it's your career, which the Yankees say all the time. And it's another when, you could tell it's a bullshit, but it is what it is.
That's good stuff, though. And that Gittin story is definitely going to get some play. People are going to be like, dude, there's no reason to be calling a guy out like that. Anyone would
Dude, the
say
guy
that's
won
borderline
MVP.
bullying.
The guy
Come on.
won MVP.
He smashed the ball. He
Yeah.
smashed the ball. I know
That
AJ's
is
got
mucked up.
Kratz, the pop that guy's got.
Oh my gosh! Literally, he hit the second hardest ball in baseball behind Giancarlo Stanton, and he was using the Sally League
Yeah.
squish balls that they were using, not big league balls.
This is what makes no sense. Like, he's the guy that's like, man, I was sitting on that slider right there, and he gets a fastball and hits an oppo homer at 115, and you're like, dude, how can you sit off speed and hit a fastball? Like, it doesn't make sense. There's no analytic. Like, he's got that. I don't know what to tell you. Where's the analytic there? There's no. This is why I say there's no analytic for the mental game. The edge you can get by watching the game, the conversations you should be having with coaches about base running, about counts to stealing, about runners in scoring position. When does the whole thing about hit strikes hard? Okay, well, makes it seem like anytime a strike is thrown, you should hit it hard. Well, how that's still hard to do when there's multiple speeds and multiple shapes of a pitch. Like, how do I get the best chance to have an educated guess on what's coming? Can I guess? Can I pick my spots in an early count and say, hey, I think 60-70% chance I'm probably getting a changeup here. Let me hunt that pitch because I'm in an advantage count. These conversations have to be had, because then when you get that pitch, you're gonna hit the strike hard. Okay, you're not gonna hit every strike hard. You can't possibly cover all of these speeds, shapes, zones just because that's what the analytics say you should do. Yeah, no shit, we should hit a strike hard. The guy in New York behind the Little League fence is yelling at his son every day, like, hey, you should have swung at that, little Johnny. Like, come on, like, can we get some like substance behind this? Like, how are we going to hit strikes hard? How do we get more opportunities to get our best swing off? These conversations were being had with the Yankees, and they stopped. Like, they just need to be reinserted. This isn't like a big fix for them. They have plenty of talent. They have plenty of guys in the big leagues that have talent. They made a bunch of acquisitions pitching wise that didn't pan out. Doesn't mean they can't pan out next year. These guys could be like World Series contenders next year,
Yep.
like just with a few changes. So
Agreed.
I'm with you, dude. No, and I'm glad you said it, and I guarantee you many in the org will be listening if they aren't right now. So let's spend 2 minutes on Tiza, because you are well represented right now, dude. And it's important, obviously, a big partner of ours. We believe in the product and what's been going on here and making a difference on many fronts. But in baseball specifically, we know that way too many guys dip. It is awful. It has created awful results for people in their lives, medical wise. And T's obviously, forget tobacco. There's no nicotine, none of the bullshit that's there. It's like, and the founder himself will say, a tea bag. So you tell me how much it means to you and how much dip was around your life.
Listen, I never dipped. The reason the product kind of spoke to me was because of that reason. Like, I put one in, I've never dipped before, and I'm like, damn, this shit's awesome. I like the caffeine it gave me. I was drinking a lot of coffee pre-workout before games, and first 3 innings I'd be a little jittery. I didn't like that feeling in the box, and this didn't make me feel that way. I guess what I would say would be, I would challenge the people that don't dip to try it, because if you're doing any job, blue collar, outside, where you can't be drinking coffee, you're at a desk all day, like, you need to be focused and energized. And what Tiza does is literally exactly that. There's no calories or sugar in it. Just put one in and try it. I mean, it tastes great. It lasts 2-3 hours. You won't regret trying it. I will plug one product. I'd say try the mini sampler. You get 4 different flavors, 40 pucks. You get to try them. It's with the code FOUL. I guess that's your code, right? FOUL.
Yep, that's it. You got it.
The code FOUL. 40 pouches for under $10. Come on, that's like the freaking that's the cost of a gallon of milk nowadays. So just go and get one, and
There
you
it
won't.
is.
That's all I can say. It can help a lot of people get off tobacco, obviously, but it can help a lot of other people too.
I'm with you. Yeah, I appreciate it. FOUL is the code. And that's why we've been a big fan, and we're talking about it a lot here. And you're right. Like, it's been cool to hear some people that are like, I'm dipping, I got off. This was my last step, right, to get off. Because like we've mentioned, it's a tea bag, it's vitamins, it's good for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I use it to work out now. I don't use pre-workout anymore.
Definitely better than pre-workout. I can have a whole conversation about that too.
Yeah.
Many friends with a
Don't
lot of
get in that
problems.
life.
Yeah, do not get in that life.
Yeah,
I'm with you, dude.
you're pretty jacked over there.
I have learned a lot from a lot of other people.
He's got
making
huge
mistakes.
biceps. Don't
Yeah,
let him gloss over that.
I'm hiding them under the computer. But hey, Ben, awesome having you on, dude. This was great to actually, put a face to it, for all of the places that are grabbing headlines from the comments yesterday.
I can't wait to see these clickbaits that are going to come out. None of us here are anti-analytics. Let's mesh them together.
No. Dude, I hosted the analytical show on MLB Network for years, and the host was barely there. So I hosted all the time. It just, trust me, you're talking to people that understand information and analytics.
Oh, yeah.
So we're good. It's just important, like you said, to make sure that we're in a spot. To me, the last thing I'll say is I felt like there was this analytics arms race because some teams did things so well and gained significant advantages from analytics and information, right? Especially on the pitching front. And I felt like the Yankees were here doing this too. And it's like, wait, you crossed the finish line. You're still going. Like, dude, you went too far. And there's some other teams that are right here, that are running. So
do we have any time left?
One more minute. Go ahead.
I would say, if I put my GM hat on, I would say the only way to build a consistent team with some runway is to develop guys in your minor league system because of how the contracts work. So I think they should focus on getting some guys where you can get them on those big league minimum salaries for 3 years, and you have an all-star, and then you fill in the rest of the spots with your free agent signings, your big money guys, and then you have a stud team like the Braves. The Braves do this, the Dodgers do this, the Astros do this. They recycle guys. You're like, where did this guy come from? Where did this guy come from? That's the way to build a runway. That's my GM hat, and I think the Yankees could do that easy.
Yeah, and you pointed out like Luke Voigt had a good run there, right? Where they were, and they've had others. I mean, the Yanks have done that well. We've, plenty of people have pointed out mistakes. They've done a great job over years finding guys like Lance brought up earlier, like Jake Bauers. Great, good example. Just you can't ride everything off of that. And the problem we had on the prospect side was like are you developing enough players into what they should become, right? Like Jeremy Pena's had an up and down sophomore year, but I mean, one of the biggest parts of the Astros winning a World Series, developed well, comes up to the bigs right away, contributor, doing the big things, exit velo, homers, all of that. We all love that. And all the small things if you watched him on a daily basis to be a winning ball player.
I got to shout out my boy Volpe too. He works hard. Love him. He's a dog in there, man. He knows baseball in and out. I think his hitting will come around for sure. But that guy can play some baseball. That's for sure.
I'm with you, dude. Jersey boy too. I'm with you too. I grew up not far away from you because you're West Windsor, right?
Yeah.
There you go. I was Warren, small town, but we played you guys in some sports. I'm older than you though.
Yeah, you probably beat
us. in soccer and basketball, yes, not in baseball. Ben, great to have you on, dude. Really appreciate the long chat.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Yes, like we mentioned, Ben works for Tiza, so use that code FOUL for 20% off. And if you want more information, obviously, you can check out the website, tizaenergy.com. By the way.